We've been through a lot together, and we probably deserve that hand for all of us because it's been a very unfair situation. I invited some of our very good friends, and we have limited room, but everybody wanted to come. We kept it down to a minimum, and believe it or not, this is a minimum, but a tremendous thing was done over the last number of months, but really if you go back to it over the last number of years, we had the witch hunt. It started from the day we came down the elevator, myself and our future First Lady who's with us right now. Thank you, Maria. And it never really stopped. We've been going through this now for over 3 years. It was corrupt, it was dirty cops, it was years, and this should never ever happen to another president, ever. I don't know that other presidents would have been able to take it. Some people said no, they wouldn't have. But I can tell you, at a minimum, you have to focus on this because it can get away very quickly, no matter who you have with you, it can get away very quickly. It was a disgrace. Had I not fired James Comey, who was a disaster, by the way, it's possible I wouldn't even be standing here right now. We caught him in the act. Dirty cops, bad people. If this happened to President Obama, a lot of people would have been in jail for a long time already. I want to start by thanking some of, and I call them friends, because you know, you develop friendships and relationships when you're in battle and war, much more so than, gee, let's have a normal situation. With all that we've gone through, we've done, I think, more than any president and administration. And really, I say, for the most part, Republican congressmen, congresswomen, and Republican senators, we've done more than administration in the first few years. You look at all of the things we've done. I watched this morning as they tried to take credit for the stock market from think of that. Let me tell you, if we didn't win, the stock market would have crashed. And the market was going up a lot before the election because it was looking like we had a good chance to win. And then it went up tremendously from the time we won the election till the time we took office, which was November 8th to January 20th. And that's our credit, that's all our credit. And at that point was our credit because there was hope. And one of the reasons the stock market's gone up so much a few days is people think we're doing so well. They liked the State of the Union speech. It's a true honor to give it. Making the State of the Union speech, I was with some people that have been around, they've been all over the world. And one of them said, highly sophisticated person said, you know, where you go in the world, it doesn't make any difference. There is nothing like what I witnessed tonight. The beauty, the majesty of the chamber, the power of the United States, the power of the people in this room. Really an amazing, even I don't think there is anything like that anywhere in the world. You can go to any other country, you can go to any other location, any other place. It's the beauty of everything, it's what it represents and how it represents our country. Start by introducing some of the people that are here. I know some are going to be left out, but they work so hard. And this is really not a news conference, it's not a speech, it's not anything, it's just we're sort of it's a celebration because we have something that just worked out. I mean, it worked out. We went through hell unfairly, did nothing wrong, did nothing wrong. I've done things wrong in my life, I will admit. Not purposely, but I've done things wrong. But this is what the end result is.
Woo! I knew it. I knew it. Yeah. The witch. The witch. Go easy.
You can take that home, honey. Maybe we'll frame it.
God let me.
It's the good headline I've ever had. But every paper is the same. Does anybody have those papers? Does anybody have them? Because they're really like that, so I appreciate that.
Oh my God.
But some of the people here have been incredible warriors. They're warriors. And there's nothing from a legal standpoint. This is a political thing. And every time I'd say, this is unfair, let's go to court, they say, sir, you can't go to court. This is politics. And we were treated unbelievably unfairly. And you have to understand, we first went through Russia.
Oh, Russia, the Russia.
Bullshit.
We got it going on in space.
We then went through the Mueller report.
The space, never mind. I can't get into it.
And they should have come back one day later. They didn't. They came back 2 years later, after lives were ruined, after people went bankrupt, after people lost all their money. People came to Washington to help other people. Bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, they say. They came, 1 or 2 or 3 people in particular, but many people. We had a rough campaign, nasty. It was one of the nastiest, they say. They say Andrew Jackson was always the nastiest campaign. They actually said we topped it. It was a nasty both in the president and the election. You see, after the election it would stop, but it didn't stop. It just started. It's tremendous corruption. Tremendous corruption. So we had.
She's already trying to conjure something up in her brew there.
Bad and evil people.
Trying to conjure up. How's she gonna attack again?
All of these horrible, dirty cops that took these dossiers and did bad things. They knew all about it. The FISA courts should be ashamed of themselves. It's a very tough thing, and then we ended up winning on Russia. It should have taken the 1 day, as they said, and it took years.
Getting ready to go to Mars. Where's Russia? I don't know what they're talking about.
So well for the other side. But they should have said that first week.
That's okay, baby.
Is that right, Jim Jordan? They knew the first 2 days, actually. Kevin, is that right? 2 days. They knew that we were totally innocent. But they kept it going, Mark. They kept it going forever. Because they wanted to inflict political pain on somebody that had just won an election that to a lot of people was surprised. I mean, we had polls that said we were going to win. We had Los Angeles Times and a few papers actually said it was
unbelievable.
We were going to win, but it was going to be close. And we did win. It was one of the greatest wins of all time. And they said, okay, he won. And you know, I wrote this down because that was where a thing called the insurance policy. To me, when I saw the insurance policy, and that was done long before the election, that was done when they thought that Hillary Clinton was going to win. And by the way, Hillary Clinton and the DNC paid for millions of dollars to fake dossier. And now Christopher Steele admits that it's a fake because he got sued by rich people. I should have sued him too, but when you're president, people don't like suing. I want to thank my legal team, by the way, not for that advice, but for...
Good job. Good job. Yep.
You guys stand up.
Good job.
Great
I
job.
wasn't gonna let go either.
Right at the beginning, they said, sir, you have nothing to worry about. All of the facts are on your side. I said, you don't understand. That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter. And that was really true. They made up facts. A corrupt politician named Adam Schiff made up my statement to the Ukrainian president. He brought it out of thin air. Just made it up. He said he's a screenwriter, a failed screenwriter. He tried to go into, unfortunately, he went into politics after that. Remember, he said the statement, which is a mob statement. Don't call me, I'll call you. I didn't say that. Fortunately, for all of us here today and for our country, we had transcripts. We had transcribers, professional transcribers. Then they said, oh, well, maybe the transcription is not correct. But Lieutenant Colonel Vidbin and his twin brother, right? We had some people that really amazing. But we did everything. We said, what's wrong with it? Well, they didn't add this word or that. It didn't matter. I said, add it. They're probably wrong, but add it. So now everyone agrees that they were perfectly accurate. When you read those transcripts, Tim Scott, I don't know if Tim's here, but he said, sir, he's the first one to call me. Sir, I read the transcript. You did nothing wrong. And Mitch, he stayed there right from the beginning.
He's just
He
being
never
cautious. Hey,
and Mitch
no,
McConnell, I want to
looking
tell
out.
you did a fantastic job.
Yeah, sweet man. It's a very sweet man right there. It's okay, Phil. He is a very sweet man, yeah. Sit down.
Somebody said,
Sit down.
you know, Mitch is quiet. And I said, he's not quiet. He's not quiet.
He's not.
He doesn't want people to know him.
Yeah.
And they said, is Mitch smart? I said, well, let's put it this way. For many, many years, a lot of very smart, bad in many cases, sometimes good, but people have been trying to take his place. And to the best of my knowledge, I've never even heard the subject come up because they've been wiped out so fast. This guy is great, and I appreciate it, Mitch. And he's also given us 191 now. 191 federal judges. Up to 191. Great guy.
He is.
Great guy. He's a tough guy to read. I'm good at reading people. Tough guy to read. My wife would say, how'd you do with Mitch? I don't know. That's what makes him good.
Yeah, and this guy here, I mean, it's a businessman.
And he understood right from the, this was crooked politics. This was crooked politics. How about all these people? They're running for office. They're saying the worst things about me, like 8 senators on the Democrat side. Most of them got wiped out. You know, they got their 1% or less. Most of them got less. They decided to go home. Let's go back to California. Let's go back to wherever they came from. Let's go back to New York. How about that one? Our New York Senator, Gillibrand. Let's go back to New York after they get nothing. And then they take an oath that they will be fair, that they will be reasonable, all of the different things, and they have to sign. They're not fair. But here's the beauty. So we have 4 left. They're saying the most horrendous things about me. It's okay, it's politics. And then they're supposed to vote on me. They're trying to replace me. And then they're supposed to be voting. So I think it's incredible. But so Mitch, I want to thank you very much, incredible. And you have some of you folks here. They're incredible people. And they've been right from the beginning. And again, you're out of session. Unfortunately, I only told these folks, let's do this today. We did a prayer breakfast this morning, and I thought that was really good. In fact, that was so good it might wipe this out. But by the end, by the time we finish, this will wipe that one out, those statements. I had Nancy Pelosi sitting 4 seats away, and I'm saying things that a lot of people wouldn't have said, but I meant every word of it. But we have some of the folks that are going to be leaving right after this, and they work hard, and they did work hard. Bill Cassidy, Senator. Stand up, Bill. What a guy. Great man. When I need to know about health insurance and pre-existing conditions and individual mandates, I call Bill, or I call Barrasso. We get those two guys, they know more than anybody. A man who just became a senator. He's a little bit like me. We have a couple of them. Very successful guy in business, and he said, what the hell? I'll run for the Senate from Indiana. And he ran, and I saw him on television destroying his opponent in a debate. I said, you know, this guy can win, and I got behind him. And Mike Braun, you have done some great job. Thank you very much. Tough. Tough. A man who got James Comey to choke. And he was just talking in his regular voice. He's the roughest man. He's actually unbelievable, and I appreciate the letter you sent me today. I just got it. But he's got this voice that scares people. You know, people from Iowa can be very tough. We're doing very well in Iowa. But I'll tell you, Chuck Grassley, he's looking to call me. Yeah. Well, you tell me, what did you say? Now, he wasn't being rough. That was just the way he talked. And that was when Comey, I think that was when Comey announced that he was leaking lies. He choked because he never heard anybody talk like that. You know, you should have gone. I wish you got angry. You could have gotten the whole ball game. He would have said, I give up. Chuck Grassley is an incredible guy.
Yeah, he is. He reminds me of one of my high school teachers.
Tough, smart campaigner. We learned how good she was, right? She was a great campaigner. In fact, by the end of the campaign, she was actually, I thought she was
the band leader. That's who he reminds me of.
I saw her ads. She was saying the greatest things about me. And you know who I'm talking about? And I went to a great place, Missouri, and I said, who do you have to beat her? And they said, well, we have 4 people. I said, let me see, am I going to interview people? Can you imagine I'm interviewing people for the United States Senate? This is what I do. But I love it. I love it because we're getting great people. The first one I met was Josh Hawley. After about 10 minutes, I said to the people, don't show me anybody else. This is the guy. He was the Attorney General, did a phenomenal job in the state, highly respected. And Claire McCaskill. So the theory was you couldn't beat her. Great campaigner. Remember the last campaign? She was going to be taken. She was always going to be taken out, and she wins. And people say, how did that happen? It didn't happen with him. But she got so friendly toward me. In fact, one of the ads I still have, I'm putting it in the archives as one of the best ads I've ever read. And she tried to convince people that we were best friends. But Josh ended up winning by 5 or 6 points. You were unbelievable. You were tough. And you are something. And one of the greatest supporters on the impeachment hoax was Josh Hawley. He was incensed, actually. I watched him. He was incensed at what they were doing and what they were saying. And those were the ones. You know, I had some that said, oh, I wish he didn't make the call. That's okay. They need that. It's incorrect. It's totally incorrect. And they some that used religion as a crutch. They never used it before. An article written today, never heard him use it before. But today, you know, it's one of those things. But, you know, it's a failed presidential candidate, so things can happen when you fail so badly running for president. But Josh Hawley, I want to thank you. You were right from the beginning. Man, did I make a good choice. Thank you, Jeff. Tremendous future. A man who is brilliant and who actually was deceived to an extent, comes from a great state, Utah, where my poll numbers have gone through the roof, and one of the senators' poll numbers, and not this one, went down big. You saw that? You saw that, Mike? But Mike Lee is a brilliant guy. He's difficult. Whenever I sign bills, you know, we do sign legislation. It's powerful, but it's sort of everybody has to approve it. 99 to 1. 99 to 1. Don't tell me who's the one.
The baby bill.
Is it Mike? Yes. And he always has a good reason for it too, by the way. But he's incredible. And right at the beginning, he knew we were right, Mike. And I appreciate it very much. You're just fantastic. And say hello to the people of Utah. And tell them, I'm sorry about Mitt Romney. I'm sorry. Okay? We can say that Mike Lee is by far the most popular senator from the state. But you've done a fantastic job, Mike, in many ways. In many ways. A young woman who I didn't know at all, but she's been so supportive, and I've had great support from other people in that state, and she's been so supportive, and she's been downright nasty and mean about the unfairness to the president. And Kelly Loeffler, I appreciate very much. Thank you. Good. She saw it very early on. And we have, I don't know if we have other senators here, but we got a hell of a lot of congressmen. I'll go over them quickly, but they have also been, you know, it helped when we won 197 to nothing. That's got to be a first, Kevin, right? Is that like a first? The Republicans have this image. See, I say Democrats are lousy politicians because they have lousy policy. Open borders, sanctuary cities, they have horrible policy. Who the hell can win? Oh, the new policy is raise taxes. They want to raise taxes. You know, all my life I wasn't in politics, but I'd say, if you're a politician, you want to say, well, they want to raise taxes. So they have open borders, sanctuary cities, raise everybody's taxes. Get rid of everybody's health care, 180 million people in the United States, and they're really happy. And we're going to give you a health care that's going to cost more money than the country could make in 30 years if it really does work. That's 1 year. So, I've always said they're lousy politicians, but they do two things. Vicious and mean, vicious. These people are vicious. Adam Schiff is a vicious, horrible person. Nancy Pelosi is a horrible person. And she wanted to impeach a long time ago, and she said, I pray for the president. I pray for the president. She didn't pray. She may pray, but she prays for the opposite. But I doubt she prays at all. And these are vicious people. But they do two things. They stick together. Historically, I'm not talking now. They stick together like glue. That's how they impeached, because they had whatever the number is, 220 people. So they don't lose anybody. They'll be able to impeach anybody. You could be George Washington. You could have just won the war, and they say, let's get him out of office. And
I know.
They stuck together, and they're vicious as hell.
Yeah.
And they'll probably come back for more, but maybe not,
I'm
because
telling you, they're
the
scary.
Republican Party's
I wouldn't want them
have
running
now
my
gone
country.
up more than any time, I think, since 2004, 2005, and you know what happened then? But in normal times, decades, you would call it. That was a little unusual time. It was for a very short period. The Republicans party's poll numbers and Donald Trump's poll numbers are the highest I've ever had there. So maybe they will. It's no way to get your poll numbers up. It's not work. Because from my family standpoint, it's been very unfair for my family. It's been very unfair to the country. Think of it. A phone call. A very good phone call. I know bad phone calls. It's a phone call with many people. I think Mike Pompeo is probably on the call. Where's Mike? Mike Pompeo is on the call. Many people were on the call. I know that many people. They even have a print eye. Bringing up an old favorite word of mine, the apprentice. They have a print eye. They have people on these calls. And I know there are many, when I speak to the head of a nation, and they have many people on. I mean, also, if you think they're just, in the case of Ukraine, he's a new president. Seems like a very nice person, by the way. His whole thing was corruption. He's going to stop corruption. We even have a treaty 2001, 1999. It's a treaty signed. We will work together to root out corruption in Ukraine. I probably have a legal obligation, Mr. Attorney, to report corruption. But they don't think it's corrupt when a son that made no money, that got thrown out of the military, that had no money at all, was working for $3 million up front, $83,000 a month. And that's only Ukraine. Then goes to China, picks up $1.5 billion. Then goes to Romania, I hear, and many other countries.
Oh my God.
They think that's okay.
I know.
Because if it is Ivanka in the audience? Is Ivanka? Well, my kids could make a fortune. Or they could make a fortune. It's corrupt.
Yeah.
But it's not even that. It's just general corruption. And the other thing is mentioned in the call, and something that I've told Mike Pence, our great vice president, I would tell him all the time. And I told him when he went on the trip, because he was over there. He never mentioned anything about this when you had your meeting. It's a terrible thing. But I told Mike, I said, Mike, we're giving them money, and, you know, you're always talking about that, because we have our country to build, we have our cities to build, and our roads to fix. But we're giving them money. Tell me, why isn't Germany paying money? Why isn't France?
Thank you.
Why isn't United Kingdom paying money?
Thank you.
Why are we paying the money? Is that a correct statement?
Thank you.
I say, find out what the hell's going on. And I told that to all of my people.
I've been wondering that for
I asked that question.
a long
How
time.
much is Germany paying? Why isn't Germany paying? Why is the United States always the sucker?
Yeah,
Because we're a
that's what
bunch
I'm
of
thinking.
suckers.
Yeah,
But
you
it's
know.
turning around fast. But it makes it harder when stuff like this happens. Because you want to focus. And you want to focus perfectly. Think what we could have done if the same energy was put into infrastructure, prescription drug prices. Think of what we could have done. And I'm now talking both sides. Think of what we could have done if we had the same genius, because it's genius. I will say, it's genius on the other side. Maybe even more so. Because they took nothing and brought me to a final vote of impeachment. That's a very ugly word to me. It's a very dark word, very ugly. They took nothing. They took a phone call that was a totally appropriate call. I call it a perfect call, because it was. And they brought me to the final stages of impeachment. But now we have that gorgeous word. I never thought a word would sound so good. It's called total acquittal.
I knew it all the way home yesterday. I knew
I
I just
want
looked,
to,
and
I'd
God
like to
told me,
real
he told me.
fast just introduce a few of the
That
people. I have to start
I
with,
fell asleep on the bus. I never do that.
Man, did you do a job. Lucky you're there.
He's like, rest,
Lucky
my
you're there.
child, you know, rest.
Because
I
when you
got
work
this,
out,
you know.
If you don't have the
I
right
was like-
people, I tell you, Kevin McCarthy has done an incredible job.
I mean, you know, when you're doing the right thing, you know, just give it up. He's got it. He's got this. It's his world
Mitch and
anyway.
Kevin, they love what they do.
Man, forget.
Now, Mitch wouldn't even tell you he liked it. Say, Mitch, you like it? Well, I don't know. He's the greatest poker
Sit
player,
down.
right?
Sit down.
Kenny
No, no,
was
no,
that
no, no.
lover,
No,
right?
no. Stop.
And I will say
No,
that
no, look what I got
you're
going
going to
on
be
there.
Speaker of the
No.
House because of
Stop.
this impeachment hoax.
Look all the
I
rain.
will believe it. I will believe it. I'm going to work hard on it. I'm going to try and get out to those Trump areas that we won by a lot.
I mean, you know, he
In
had,
18,
yeah.
we didn't win. We just
I don't get
North
this.
Carolina.
I don't really get
Two
into
wonderful
politics.
seats
This
in
is the
North
first
Carolina that were
time,
not
really.
supposed to be won.
I mean, I like.
But I
I'm not
went
going to
and I
mention
made
right now
speeches,
because I got
and we
this
had
going on.
rallies, and we did a great
Been a
job.
few
and we
that
won.
I've
We
liked
took
in
2
the
seats, nobody
past,
writes about that.
but
We lost
he's
them. It would have
done
been the
some
biggest story
stuff
of the
here
year.
that I've never seen
But,
any
we're
president
gonna
do.
Go. We're gonna do a
Sit
job.
down. Stop.
And we're going to win a lot of seats. We're going to win a lot of seats. People are very angry that
They talk.
Nancy Pelosi and
This is the blah blah
all of
blah
these
blah blah blah.
guys, I mean, Nadler, I know him
Sit down.
much of my
Thank
life.
you.
He's fought me in New York for 25 years. I always beat him.
My city,
And I had to
my
beat him another
town,
time.
New
And
York.
I'll probably
New
have to
York.
beat him again.
Gotta love New York.
Because
Miami, New York, my towns.
The street.
Cities, rather,
And
not
maybe
town.
go against
Cities.
something. Let's impeach him. So we'll probably have to do it again because these people have gone stone cold.
Hey,
crazy.
listen,
But I beat
we'll
them all
get
my
through
life.
it.
And I'll beat them
Now,
again.
they
if I have
better
to.
not.
What
I'm
they're
on
doing
them
is
now.
very unfair.
Okay, they don't even try.
So Kevin McCarthy has been
We're
great.
talking, Donnie,
So-
don't worry. I'm talking with a
A few
bunch of
names,
people
right?
now.
And there'll be a few you forget. If you want, you can raise them
Ooh.
and say, great, love to have you.
Ooh, they got the
But
people.
we're going to do the best
Never
we
mind,
can.
I gotta
And I
shut
have my
up again.
cabinet, but my cabinet's different. I appoint them. Okay? I didn't see all of them so much. You know, they were
Love
all
your
here.
resort in Miami.
various
Beautiful in Palm
bureaucracies,
Beach. Palm Beach
No, my
too.
cabinet's
And
great, and they're all
Hollywood.
here.
Trump Tower in
But today is
Hollywood,
the day to
Florida.
celebrate these great
Beautiful.
warriors, right?
You rock.
These are great warriors. They really fought hard for us. And so I'll start Kelly Armstrong, North Dakota. Kelly, thank you. Great job.
I got you, Donnie.
Jim
Don't
Banks
worry.
of Indiana. Jim, thank you. Great job. Andy Biggs. Where's Andy? Boy, oh boy, Andy.
Oh, by the way, Miami, Doral. Doral. Same
There's a
thing.
guy.
Miami.
He's tough.
Beautiful.
I hear we're doing well in Arizona.
Oh,
huh?
awesome.
Going good, yeah.
Mm.
I think so. I think I saw a poll that was very good. For me. I
They're
think
just
we have
jealous.
To make sure Martha's
They're
gonna do-
jealous.
I think
That's all
Martha's
it's
gonna do
about.
good.
Sit down.
But we have some
What?
states that are going to be
I don't
not
care
easy.
about that.
But Arizona's been great.
So,
And we're stopping illegal aliens from coming in. We're putting up walls. New Mexico, too, a state that's never been a place
Talk
for
about-
Republicans.
I
Is totally
better
in play.
shut up on that one.
Right? Nevada's really looking good. We're doing well. We're doing well. We're going to have a great spirit. I will say this. There's more spirit now for the Republican Party by far than the Democrats. You know, Mike Pence just got back from a place, a beautiful place that Chuck Grassley knows well, Iowa. And he was talking about this fiasco, the Democrats. They can't count some simple votes, and yet they want to take over your healthcare system. Think of that. No, think of that. But we also had an election out there, and we got 98% of the vote. We have two people running, you know, and I guess they consider them non-people, but they are running. And one was a governor, one was a congressman. They're running. We've got 98% of the vote. And everybody from the media was saying, who are those crowds over there? You know, they expect it to be one of these competitive where everybody's running because they want to win, they want to win. And it was Trump, right, Mark Meadows? It was Trump. This was a Trump crowd. And actually a lot of my guys went there. They went to Iowa, and a lot of friends went there. And we had tremendous, they say the spirit for the Republican
man,
Party
I know.
right now is stronger, I think, than it's ever been in the history of our country. I think it's stronger than it's ever been. And that includes Abe Lincoln. You know, a lot of people forget Abe Lincoln. I wish he were here. I'd give him one hell of an introduction.
Me too. Honest Abe.
But he was a Republican. Abe Lincoln,
Was
honest Abe.
he? I didn't-
Bradley Byrne, Alabama. What a great place. Thank you, Bradley.
Honest Abe. Could not
A
tell a
man who
lie.
has been an unbelievable friend of mine and spokesman, and somebody that I really like. And I know, Kelly, you're going to end up liking him a lot. Something's going to happen that's going to be very good. I don't know. I haven't figured it out yet. But Doug Collins, where is he? Where is Doug? You
Yeah.
have been so great.
Yeah,
Thank
he's
you very
awesome.
much.
He is.
Thank you
Yeah,
very
yeah, I like him.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah,
Really
he
amazing
don't pull
job.
no punches.
A young man who is born with a great gene, because I know his father and how great a politician he was, but he's from Florida.
Woo!
Sometimes controversial, but actually he's not controversial. He's solid as a rock, and he's a friend of
Oh,
mine, Matt Gates. Matt,
Yeah,
Thank you,
no.
Matt.
I think you know.
thank you. Great
No,
job.
Ted Cruz. Where's Ted Cruz?
All right, this guy. So he's the NCAA, meaning a couple of years ago when he was in college, wrestling champion. NCAA, that's the big deal. That means in all of college, you're the champ. You're the best. His record was ridiculous. Nobody could beat him. And I see it, you know,
Here
every
she
time I
goes
see it.
again.
When I first got to know him, Jim Jordan, when I first got to know Jim, I said,
Oh, okay, yeah, he's
never
cool.
wears a jacket.
He's cool.
What the hell's going on? He's obviously very proud of his body.
No, he's cool. I like him.
And they say where he works out, you know, with the congressmen, senators, they work out, they say when Jim works out, even though he's not as young as he was, but he works out, the machine starts burning down. It's just a different form of a workout than us, right, Sonny? And there he is. Look at that guy. But one day I'm looking, and he looks tough, and I'm looking at those ears, and I say, those ears have something going on
Won't
there.
stop.
I
He
said,
will
"Did you ever
stop.
wrestle?"
I
He
guarantee.
did, but
A
he doesn't
baby.
talk.
I know, baby.
This guy was
I know.
this guy was a champion
Oh, okay.
top wrestler. And when I had the
You right,
top,
baby.
I had all of the teams. And by the way,
Oh, it's a
your
baby.
Super Bowl champions are coming, I think next week or soon, very soon. And every one of them want to be here. And the coach loves us. The coach is great, Andy Reid. And every one of them want to be here. We have, people love it. But we had all of the NCAA
Gotta deal with
championship
this
teams here. They
all
had
the
the
time
golf,
she
the
wants
basketball,
it.
they had every team here. And one of the teams was wrestling. The wrestling team
Baby.
was that
So
Penn
baby.
State. And Penn State won the title. They have a great team. And I walked up with Jim, and it's like I didn't exist. Those wrestlers, they grabbed him. They love Jim Jordan, and we love you too, because you are some warrior.
Yeah. Yeah, he is. Yeah, you don't want to mess with him. Yeah, he's got to put up a fight.
A woman who became a star. We have a couple of women that became stars, you two. And I always liked the name of her. I liked it. That's how I picked it. I liked the name. I saw that face. I saw that everything. They gave me cards. You had like 7 opponents, right?
You know, Donnie, you got the
And
chocolate. You talk like the New
You have
Yorker.
no idea how much the
Chocolate
public
and
appreciates
coffee.
how smart and dark you
Sit
are.
down.
This I can't tell. Can't tell. I just said, you know, she's really good. She's really talented. I said, let's go. We worked with her race. Phrase. It's no longer tough because what she does out there is incredible. Arizona loves her. But you were so incredible representing, I don't say me, representing the country and getting it out of this impeachment hoax. What you did was incredible. So Debbie, please stand up. Debbie Lesko.
Yeah, she is. Yep, very, very awesome. Very awesome.
Man, who I became very friendly with. I don't know why. Do you ever have where, last
This
meeting,
weather is killing
certain
me.
people call, you take their calls.
Whew,
Other people call,
I need beach.
if they don't have information, they won't take his call. But other people call, and you know, this is a guy, he just is just a very special. I actually like better than him, to be honest. Because he doesn't know that I know that he didn't actually support me right from the beginning, but she did. And on my worst day, right? On my worst day, my worst. I won't tell you why it was my worst, but it was not one of those good days. She got on a bus, got many other buses, and women all over North Carolina, and they toured North Carolina. Well, Mark was back sort of semi-supporting another candidate, which he ended up leaving very quickly. I don't think you had a choice because of your wife. But thank her, and Mark Meadows, he's an extraordinary guy. I mean, the only problem is, I guess he's announcing, he'd only win by 40 points, but he's announcing that he'll be not running this time. You have somebody good to run? Somebody going to win your district by at least 20 points, please, okay? But he's a tremendously talented man, not just as a politician, as a human being, he's incredible. And during these horrible times, I mean, the way he worked, and Jim and all of you guys, the way they worked was so, it was like their life was at stake. Ron DeSantis is another one. He worked so hard. Then he called me, he said, sir, I'd like to run for governor. He said, governor? I don't want you to run. I like you staying. No, I want to run for governor. And I said, well, if you have to, I'd like your support. They said, how can I support you? You're at 3. He was at 3, he had no money. Somebody else was at 38, and they had 22 million cash, right? I said, look, if it's important, I'll do it, because he He's been another great warrior. And he's, by the way, he ran, I endorsed him. His numbers went through the roof. The man who we beat, who was expected to win easily, called me after the race. He said, you endorsed him, and it was like a nuclear bomb went off. There was nothing I could do. He never even spent his money. He saved it. But Ron DeSantis is another one. And now he's the governor of Florida. And by the way, he's a great governor. He's a very popular governor. His numbers are in the 70s, and he's done a great job. But Mark, I want to thank you very much. Fantastic job. Thank you very much. Mark Meadows. And Mike Johnson of Louisiana. Where's Mike? Central Casting, what a job. You can represent me anytime. You can represent me anytime. Thank you. What a job you've done. Thank you, Mike. And a man nobody's ever heard of except the other side. He's the other side's worst nightmare. This guy goes down into dungeons and basements. He'll find a document no matter what. He's the most legitimate human being. He's the hardest worker. He's unbelievable. He took tremendous abuse. I mean, abuse the media, and you know, the other side, and the bad ones, the leakers, the liars, the dirty cops. They wanted to destroy him. They tried. They got close, but he wouldn't let it happen. And honestly, in a certain way, he was the first one. When you say Jim and Mark and everything, this was the first guy. He came out of nowhere. He's saying, these people are. He's still saying it. And he was unbelievable. Devin Nunes, he was unbelievable.
Oh, thank you. Wow. Oh, he's so humble. He's so humble. Okay, like Michael.
So true, Devin. He'd come in and say, I didn't even know him. I just heard there was this congressman who kept going into a basement, into files. He knew something was wrong. You felt it, right? And now we know a lot more than we knew then, right? You never thought it was as bad as it is.
Bravo, thank you.
And hopefully we're going to take care of things.
That's what you do. You got to dig sometimes.
We can never, ever allow this to happen again.
I know. Yeah. Thank you. Sometimes you just got to dig. You got to keep digging.
Scott Perry of Pennsylvania. Scott, thank you. Thank you, Scott. Really great.
They will try and they will try.
You're doing very
They'll
well,
keep on
very
trying.
well.
They'll keep on
Just
trying
so you know.
you and trying you.
A
But
man
I'm going
who
to
is
tell you again.
Central Casting,
You don't test
Perry
God.
Mason, I'm gonna
God
remake
tests
Perry
you.
Mason.
And you
Other
better
than
stop
Bill
it.
Barr, I picked this guy, but I have to say I picked Barr.
Talking to
I
them
picked Barr
now. He
first,
knows.
right? John Ratliff.
They
right?
know. They
But I have
better
to tell
stop.
you, if we're doing
Telling you.
a remake of Perry Mason, the man I get, there's nobody in Hollywood like this, John Ratliff. Right? Stand up.
You don't want to mess with him.
Such a great lawyer.
You fool anybody you
Yeah,
hurt.
incredible
You are
talent,
not
just a
fooling
great
him.
lawyer that we appreciate it.
That's
He gets on that
the
screen
bottom
and everyone
line
says,
now.
I agree.
Double
The
dare
other
you,
side
triple
folds
dare
up
you,
so fast.
quadruple dare you.
We'll probably be using a lot of you in the next year. But you have been fantastic, John. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Everybody's exempt.
A man who's braver than me and braver than all of us in this room, he got whacked. He got whacked. My Steve, right? I went to the hospital with our great First Lady that night, right, honey? And we saw a man that was not going to make it. He was not going to make it. He
Who's
was
that?
the doctor. And I told him, I said, she loves you. Why do you say that? Because she was devastated. A lot of wives wouldn't give a damn. A lot of wives would have said, hey, yeah. I said, how's he doing? Oh, she couldn't even talk. She was inconsolable. Most wives would say, not good. Listen, I'm going home now. But the doctor came in. The wife is like, she was a total mess. She was really devastated. And it really looked like he had a 20-25% chance. I think you said a record for blood loss. And
What's that?
Steve Scalise.
Oh, Steve Scalise. Yeah.
I actually, honestly, I think you're better looking now. You're more handsome than you weren't that good looking.
I did,
You
yeah.
look good now.
That's right. Steve.
He looks better now. Can you believe it? I don't know what the hell that is.
Wasn't that under Obama still? Wait, I thought that was
Better
still.
now.
Was that under Trump? When did that happen? I can't remember. Yeah, He looks good. Oh, I love. Look at her, Melania.
What a guy.
Isn't she beautiful?
And he was
She is
practicing. He was practicing for the baseball game
Classy.
against,
Now that's class.
against the Democrats, right?
That's class, right
And
there.
this whack job started shooting, hurt Rogers. I don't know if Rogers is here, but hurt a number of people. Hit him, but really hit Steve. Steve was at second base. He was the second baseman, and he went down, and it was terrible. I mean, I saw the whole thing, and it was terrible. Unfortunately, you had two brave policemen with you because of your high position in Congress. You had two policemen, and they were amazing. The man and the woman. And they came, and they didn't have rifles. They were against supposedly a pretty good sharpshooter with rifles, good equipment, and all they had was a gun. And they started coming in from the outfield shooting. And they're so far away that a handgun is not preferred. And this guy has the rifle, and he's hitting people, and he was going to move up, and there was no out. I mean, if he would have been able to move up, there was no way to get out. The entrance was a single entrance way on the other side where he was. So everyone went into the dugout, ran into the dugout. But Steve was really hit badly in the stomach, and with a bullet that rips you apart. He was supposed to do that. It rips you apart. And these people charging forward, boom, boom, boom. And one of them, you know who? One of them, him, got the shooter, hit him, and then got him, killed him from long distance. It was amazing. If you didn't have those two people, you can imagine, right? You can imagine what would happen. So Melania and I went to the hospital that night, and he was in such bad shape, and he's been working ever since so hard. But 6 months ago, they had a baseball game at the Nationals Park. I didn't watch it. And it's on television. And it's just, you know, game, people, you want to win it, right? And Steve's at second base. The poor guy can't even walk. Do you remember Bobby Richardson for the New York Yankees? He was known for range, Louis. Range. He had the greatest range. If a ball's hit the shortstop, Bobby Richardson's the second baseman. Bobby Richardson would field the ball. If it's hit the first base, he'll throw it to the first baseman. He had unbelievable range. This was nothing. Steve had no range. 1 foot and he has to fall down, right? Because, you know, he was trying to get better. I don't know who the hell put you on the field. And this is a true story. So the game starts, and the first pitch, Steve's standing at second base, and the guy is really in bad shape. And I said, this is terrible. A shot, ground ball shot, is hit to second. And Steve, I say, I didn't have time to think too much, but I said, this is not good. That ball was going toward him. And this guy stopped that ball, caught the ball. He's now laying down. He throws the ball to first base, he gets him out. I said, it's the most incredible thing. I've never seen that play. I've never seen anything like it. Right? And he gets him out, and they then took him out of the game, which was a very wise thing, because you could never do that again in a million years. But you weren't going to let that ball go through. I don't care if it was hit by the greatest of all time, right? That ball was not going through you, because you are a warrior. Steve, he is fantastic. You are fantastic. You and Liz and Kevin, what a group. I mean, what a group. I got lucky, because you need the right people. If I had the wrong people there, maybe a different story. Maybe we'd be celebrating something else. But I really want to thank you, Steve Scalise. And Elise, you, I just read the story. It's most incredible what's going on with you, Elise. So I even said, you know, I was up campaigning for her, helping her, but I thought, she looks good, she looks like good talent. But did I not realize when she opens that mouth, you were killing them, Elise. You were killing them. Elise, and there's a big story in the New York Post. I love the New York Post because they treat me well. There aren't too many of you that do, but today you're treating me well. I even had a great headline. New York Times, Washington Post. I had all these great headlines. Maybe we should just end it right there. You had the greatest story yesterday in the Post. The people from all over the country are contributing to her campaign. They were so enthralled with the way you handled yourself, what you said, the way you said it. And I'll always be your friend. I think it's really an amazing story. What a great future you have. What a great future. Thank you. First Lady agrees, by the way. First Lady agrees. And Michael Turner, you can represent me anytime. Where's Michael? Where is he? Well, you can represent me. How good were you? There's another Perry Mason type, I think, right? What do you think, John? But Michael, you were fantastic, and we appreciate it. Brad Wenstrup. Where's Brad? Brad. Right. This is a big day for lawyers. You notice only the lawyers stayed. All the lawyers stayed behind. Lee Zeldin, how good are you? How good are you? Yeah. And Lou, your name's not down. They didn't give me your name. Do you know if I didn't announce Louis, whoever the hell made this list, I got to get rid of him, because if I wouldn't have announced Louis, it might have been the end of the presidency. Louis, you have been so great, so tough, and so smart. I got it. But Louis has been amazing. He's a tough guy. He's a smart guy. He's streetwise like crazy. We love Texas. And we're with you all the way, Louis. We're with you all the way. Thank you very much. So that's the story. We have a great group of warriors, and there are others left, and I guess probably, I'm sure I didn't mention a few, and I apologize if that's the case. How's he back to the good? Huh? My man, stand up, please, will you? He's the one, he said, you should run. Right? Matt said, it's like 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and I made a speech, and then they do some kind of a straw poll. Who made the best speech? And he said, I made the best speech. Well, with all these professional, I hate to say this, with all these professional politicians, they voted by far the best speech was Trump. He calls me, he says, you should run for politics. I say, what do I know about politics? But you know what? We learned quickly, and our country has never done better than it's doing right now. So it's pretty good. So thank you, Matt. Great. Say hello. So that's the story. We've been treated very unfairly. Fortunately, we have great men and women that came to our defense. If we didn't, this would have been a horrific incident for our country. When you have Lisa and Peter, the lovers, the FBI lovers, I want to believe the path you threw out for Deputy Director Andrew McCabe. That's the office. There's no way he gets elected, meaning me. There's no way he gets elected. This is Peter to Lisa. He's probably trying to impress her for obvious reasons. There's no way he gets elected. But I'm afraid we can't take the risk. Now think of this. In other words, if I get elected, two lowlifes, they can't take the risk. They can't take the risk. Think of it. And that's where it came up, the greatest word of all, insurance policy. So he says, but I'm afraid we can't take the risk. She may lose. It's like an insurance policy. In the unlikely event you die before you're 40, in other words, if I won, they were going to do exactly what they did to us. They were going to try and overthrow the government of the United States, a duly elected president. And if I didn't fire James Comey, we would have never found this stuff. Because when I fired that sleazebag, all hell broke out. They were ratting on each other. They were running for the hills. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. It's in the hands of some very talented people. We're going to have to see what happens. But I can tell you, in my opinion, these are the crookedest, most dishonest, dirtiest people I've ever seen. They said, Mrs. Trump, God, Hillary should win 100 million to 1. This is about me. This is an agent from the FBI. Look how they let her off. 33,000 emails deleted.
Mm-hmm.
Nothing happens to her.
I know.
Nothing happens.
I know. We know why.
It's unbelievable. But think of that. God, Hillary should win. When you guys are investigating Hillary, then they go to work for Mueller, the two of them. And when Mueller found out that everybody knew that they were 100% this way, he let them go. But they deleted all of their emails and text messages. So when we got the phone, they were all deleted. Could you imagine the treasure trove? They illegally deleted. So they left Bob Mueller. He had the look, but he didn't have a lot of other things. Always had the look, Mr. G-Man. And I love the FBI, and the FBI loves me, 99%. It was the top scum, and the FBI people don't like the top scum. So think of that, 100 million to 1, and he's investigating me. And then, God, Trump is a loathsome human being, isn't he? These are the people looking at me. I'm really not a bad person. And Paige said, yes, he's awful. How would you like to have that? This is the good stuff. This stuff 100 times worse than that. These are all dirty people. And now, I just heard that they're suing the United States of America.
What?
Because they were interfered with. Not gonna let it happen. Just not gonna let it happen. We cannot let this happen to our country. Okay. So,
Oh my
I'm
God.
gonna leave now.
The divided States of America.
I don't know if any of you have anything to say, you could say it, but this is sort of a day of celebration because we went through hell. And I'm sure that Pelosi, crying Chuck, and this guy all the time. The only time I ever saw him cry was when it was appropriate. Known him for a long time, crying Chuck. But I'm sure they'll try and cook up other things. They'll go through the state of New York. They'll go through other places.
Yeah.
They'll do whatever they can. Because instead of wanting to heal our country and fix our country, all they want to do,
I know. Yeah.
in my opinion, it's almost like they want to destroy our country.
Yeah.
We can't let it happen.
Exacto.
Now, Jim Jordan, did you want to say something? Go ahead. Huh? Mark?
Jim Jordan, come on.
It is a small reflection.
Oh yeah, he's
And all across the country, we got to that.
he's good. He's good. I give him that much. He
This was
is.
a highly partisan situation. Pelosi said, I copied it down exactly. Before the impeachment, she wanted to impeach from day one, by the way, don't let it go. He said, no, the impeachment is a very serious thing. I said, she wants to impeach, watch. Impeachment is so divisive to the country that unless there's something so compelling and so overwhelming and bipartisan, it was 197 to nothing. And other than one failed presidential candidate, and I call that half a vote because the actually
So with her
we
big
had one
wall
failed
around her
presidential
house,
candidate. That's
and
the
then
only
she
half
was
a vote we
condemning
lost.
him for wanting the
So,
wall.
we had
Just
almost
look at how
53.
protected she is. Ain't nobody getting in her
had
castle.
197 to nothing. And the only
Hypocrite.
one that voted against was a guy that can't stand the fact that he ran one of the worst campaigns in the history of the president. But she said, there's something so compelling, has to be so compelling and so overwhelming
Oh my!
and bipartisan.
Oh,
I don't think we should go down that path
oh no!
because
Never.
it divides the country. She's right about that.
Yeah.
And it's just not worth it. That was Nancy Pelosi a year ago, right? And I think it's a shame. I think it's a shame. But as I said, if we can put this genius to work on roads and houses, bridges, and all of the things we can do, prescription, thank him for this, but we had First time in 51 years where drug prices actually came down last year. First time in 51 years. But what we can do working with both parties in Congress would be unbelievable. It'd be unbelievable what we can do. And I know Chuck Grassley is working very hard on it, and Mitch is working very hard on it. But what we can do is incredible. What we can do just generally. We've done so much without it. We've rebuilt our military. We've cut regulations at a level that nobody thought possible. We'll always protect our Second Amendment. We all know that. But I just want to tell you that it's an honor to be with you all. I want to apologize to my family for having them have to go through a phony, rotten deal by some very evil and sick people. And Ivanka's here, and
It's not your fault.
my sons and my whole family. And that includes Barron.
They should be apologizing. They should be apologizing. And I haven't heard, not even,
Thank you, honey.
they're not even close to that. They're gonna try something else. Oh, she's beautiful too, Ivanka. Yeah, his daughter. Yeah. Melania, oh my God, she is one class. Now that's class right there. There's class right there. Beautiful. Love you, Melania. Now that's class. One classy lady.
So I just
Look
want to
at her.
thank my
She's
family for
gorgeous.
sticking through it. This was not part of the deal.
Oh.
I was going to run for president,
love
and if
her.
I
Look
won,
at
I
her.
was going to do a great job. I didn't know that I was going to run, and then when I got in, I was going to have to run again and again and again. Every week I had to run again. That wasn't the deal, but they
Almost as
stuck with
beautiful
me.
as my daughter.
And I'm so glad I did it, because we are
Wow.
making progress and doing things for our great people that everybody said couldn't be done. Our country is thriving. Our country is just respected again. And it's an honor to be with the people in this room. Thank you very much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Go rest. You need to rest. Go rest. Phil, did you watch the whole thing? Huh? Yeah, what is it? I know. Yeah, I know. Don't pay no attention to them. Okay, where's the baby? Baby. There's a baby. There's a baby. Okay. Alright. And I think I dropped the phone a couple times. Sorry about that, people. Hi, baby. Is that the baby? Okay. A baby. Wow, listen to that chatter. Okay. He got acquitted. Victory. Have a blessed day. He's still our
Speaking
president.
for a little over an hour, the president called it a celebration, not a press conference, not a speech, as we watch the East Room of the White House empty out. We want to get your reaction to the end of the impeachment trial. 202 is the area code. 748-8921 for Republicans. 748-8920 for Democrats. 748-8922 for all others. And you can text us a message as well, 202-748-8903. And if you do text, please include your name, first name, and the city and state. Let's get your reaction. Floyd in Justice, Illinois. What's your reaction to today, to the entire process?
I would just like to make one comment, please.
We're listening.
I don't understand why no Republican or no Democrat has mentioned it to this point. Mr. Trump is taking all the credit for the economy, and that's just not true. If it was not for Barack Obama, there wouldn't be no economy, but no one mentioned that.
And something that Nancy Pelosi brought up.
Oh, please. Oh, let's not even go there.
Karen, West Sacramento, California, Republican line. The impeachment trial is over. What's your reaction?
I think it was a glorious speech that President Trump made, and the message to do nothing does. Get over it.
Thanks. That's all I keep.
That's it.
That's it. Get over it.
NBC tweeted out there was apparently no planned speech for an event of this significance, no teleprompter in the East Room, and
Yep.
this stream of consciousness performance from the president.
It sure
Up
was.
next is Cynthia in Smyrna, Tennessee. Hi, Cynthia.
Hey, how are you doing, hon?
I'm well. How are you?
Oh, I've never felt better in my life. It's because I'm the other, known as an old hillbilly out in Tennessee. And, you know, I voted, the only time I ever voted for before was for Ross Perot. But, because that giant sucking sound. And I had never been so happy to vote for President Trump and campaign. I mean, and I was just a volunteer. Me and my cousin, and I'm the happiest girl in my life. We knew he did nothing wrong because we're sick and tired of being taken advantage of on having to pay for all this money for other countries. You've got to learn
So,
if
Cynthia,
you live in another country.
with regard to the entire impeachment process, was it fair?
Well, they weren't fair from the Congress to the president. They were not fair. He could not get witnesses. He couldn't get anything.
Williams, out in Fort Smith, Arkansas, Democrats line. Hi, William.
Hi.
What's your reaction
Yeah, I
to
just
the last 5
yeah.
months?
I just have 3 points to make for all the candidates, and especially for Trump. And it is this: the ends doesn't justify the means. Trump has a big following, and I don't think it's the way people go about things that count, not all these things he brags about. And also, the exalted shall be brought low, but the humble shall be exalted, is a biblical idea. And finally, Trump is dividing the country because you tell in his language, he says us and them. And you saw during this recent program, he put down the Democrats. So I think he's dividing our country, and that's all I have.
William, do you see this as a political victory for the president?
No.
Why not?
I think that it's going to keep dividing our country, and I think it's going to be more conflict.
Thank you, sir. Gary's in Hernando, Florida, Republican.
Oh,
Do you see this as a political victory for the president?
Yes,
Why?
I think that every Democrat in Washington, D.C. should be hung from the nearest tree.
Why do you say that?
Why? Because they're liars, they're scumbags. Adam Schiff is the worst. Nancy Pelosi, she should also be hung.
Do you not see any justification to what the Democrats pursued?
No, no, there is no justification except a bunch of hatred.
That's it.
Denver and
Exacto.
Bangor, Maine
Yep,
are
that's
others
all
of the
they're
country.
demonstrating.
Hi. What I'd like to say is that I took some notes while I was listening to the president speak, and what I heard was mocking, insults, lies, bragging, verbal attacks, personal attacks, name-calling, derision, denigration, and subtle or subtle threats. I heard the president say that he wants to get infrastructure done, but that's nothing that he didn't even begin to address the infrastructure when he could have. I think that our president is an embarrassment, and I don't know what else to say, but I did feel that the House managers made a very good case for impeachment, and that the Republicans who voted to acquit, many of them maybe felt differently in their hearts, but didn't have the courage to do what was right.
Did you see your Senator Susan Collins speak on the Senate floor?
Yes, I did, and I also heard my independent Senator Angus King speak, and he speaks with a great deal of compassion and knowledge and wisdom. And I'm very disappointed in my Senator Susan Collins, whom I have supported many times over the years in the past.
Will this affect your vote this coming fall for him?
Yes, it will.
Andy, Owensboro, Kentucky, Democrat. Hi, Andy.
Hey, how y'all doing today?
Good.
Well, okay, I want to say I'm a conservative Democrat. I'm a born-again Christian, and I thank the Lord for Trump. I'm glad that this is over with. It's a great day for America, and I would say that Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Adam Schiff, Nadler, all of them need to go on along with Omar and Cortez, and also Sanders and Warren and Buttigieg. They need to go home too, and in fact, Joe Biden needs to go home too.
So, Andy, you self-identified as a Democrat, but you're not supporting any Democrats?
The only two that I would probably look at, because I know they are not even on the radar, would be John Delaney or even Miss Gabbard one. And I think Miss Gabbard's getting a raw deal because he can't even get on the stage to get her message out. And John Delaney's having the same problem too. And I know Mike Huckabee has interviewed both of them, and both of them are more moderate, and they would be good to represent the Democratic Party.
Are you a fan of President Trump as a Democrat and a born-again Christian?
Yes, I think Trump is doing a good job for America. He's helping the Christians, and you know, I know they said that Nancy Pelosi had made the comment that she prays for Trump, but I don't think she really does. And with she tore them papers up, that's a sad blow for America, and she needs to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Deborah is next in Pine Mountain, Georgia, on our Republican line. Deborah, good afternoon. What's your reaction to the last 5 months and today's so-called celebration?
Well, I think it was a good celebration. I am pro-Trump. He is such a good man. He always acknowledges the Lord, and you know, God has been good. And it reminds me of this story of Moses telling Pharaoh, "Let my people go, and I'll remove the frogs." Pharaoh, because of his hard-heartedness, says, "No, I'm not going to let him go, but I'll let him go tomorrow." And Moses said, "Well, I'll dismiss the frogs." So Pharaoh, being so evil, slept with the frogs one more night. So the Democrats, they will continue in their evil ways because their hearts are so hard-hearted they can't hear the truth, accept the truth. Their minds are blinded. And what President Trump has gone through, I pray for him. And I just said, you know, Father God, this country, you know, is based on biblical principles, and we need your help. And
so, Deborah, do you doubt that the Democrats felt legitimately about their position?
No, I think that it was premeditated, just like they have with the Supreme Court justices and all that. They get together and they say, okay, let's get him on this. And they're already now planning their next step. And
Yep.
you can watch and see that they will
I
come up with
know.
something
Yeah.
and say,
They got to do something with
oh, he did
her,
this.
with them.
And
And I
it's
know.
so simple. They don't want him to win the election, but the
I know
Democrats
they
don't
can.
understand what they're doing. They're losing so many people. I talked to them and they said, "Hey, I'm a Democrat, no more."
All right, that's
Republican.
They will. They're
Green
gonna do
Mountain,
something.
Georgia, and this is Maria.
She
Maria,
can be
is
held
Burlington,
accountable.
Vermont?
I know there are things they can
Yes.
On our other line, you're on.
do, especially for tearing up that document.
Yeah, okay. Well, I agree with this Andy that talked about the committed Christian. I'm a committed Christian, and I'm very angry with my senator, Bernie Sanders, for calling President Trump, calling him a religious bigot in Iowa the other night. He's not a religious bigot.
Oh. I think we lost our friend in Burlington, Vermont. Sorry about that. And we lost guy Karen in Red Bluff, California, Republican. Karen, you with us?
I am.
Hi.
Hi. Well, I just want to make a comment. I'm very thankful that Trump got out of this mess. Had the House known the Constitution and abided by their Constitution, articles and all, this ridiculous sham would not have proceeded. It has been a waste of time and money. They've done investigation after investigation when they should have been doing their job
Thank
for
you.
our country.
Thank you.
Not because one is Democrat and one is Republican. We have to compromise where we can and stand fast where we cannot. And I just thank God that this was His will for our country to reunite us in love and understanding. And I just want to say thank you.
Karen, how do you view the president's approach? You know, I hate to say it, but the attack approach.
Well, in politics, you're going to be attacked, and you are going to do some attacking. As long as it's knowledgeable and it's fair, you have to do it in politics. Politics is not my thing. I just want and have the courage to perform not just for their agenda, but for the country.
Thank you, ma'am. Nate, Cleveland, Ohio.